That's right, everybody. We're back again. Week 2 of the NFL football season. Episode 2. The Gaming Society, the football experience, we should call it.
Yes.
My man over there, Mike Vick. I'm Dave Anderson. Michael Davies running this show, making sure we're okay. Sporting the Falcons today with the flat brim. I always support that. We got a lot to talk about. Football is back. Mike, who impressed you? Week 1. We had a big week 1. We talked about jitters. What impressed you? What
Week
did you like?
Week one. Jameis Winston. He might not have passed for a lot of passing yards, but he didn't turn the ball over.
Yeah.
He looked solid. I would have to say Jameis in terms of just overall efficiency. And then Tyrod Taylor, man. I got two guys, man. Tyrod was starting to turn into a journeyman, but Tyrod proved that he can still start and still play in this league. So I thought that was impressive, man. Two guys who had two big days on this past Sunday.
You know what? Like, I think you're exactly right in terms of when you give the keys to a guy like Tyrod Taylor and he wins a game like that, even first game of the season, expectations weren't that high for the Texans. I can speak for that. He just added 3 years to his career, probably, right? Like,
yeah, no doubt.
As a backup or as a guy that can go in there and win you a game or two, that's a big time. He should be really excited and happy for himself. I know the city of Houston is happy. I do have to give a shout out to Danny Amendola. DA.
That's my man.
Wearing number 89 out there was my number. He looks. I was wondering why my Twitter was blowing up. It said Dave Anderson has returned from the grave, and there's running around in the Texans jersey. But Amendola with a touchdown signed on Tuesday and scores. I think my big shocker for week 1. Another quarterback we talked about on our week 1 show, Kyler Murray.
Kyler had a big day.
Absolutely killed it. I think having the targets that he has, the weapons that he has, gives him so much confidence. You see that year 2 confidence under his belt. Something that you talked a lot about was that difference between year 1 and year 2 is that confidence. He has it. I think the big surprise to me was the Steelers. I didn't think they were going to beat the Bills. The Steelers just year out proved that they're a tough team.
Yeah, that was my question mark game. Could Big Ben beat a powerhouse team still? And I never doubted Ben because I know what he is as a player, and he got it done. So it did impress me a great deal. Let me tell you a short story about Danny Amendola.
Okay.
When I first came back to the game and got with Andy Reid, that preseason 2009, Danny Amendola was on the twos with me.
Yes.
And 2s and 3s. We rotated 2s and 3s, and Danny ended up getting traded that year, late in the year, to St. Louis. I think he was there for a couple years and then, kind of moved around a little bit, but very successful career. I'm proud of him.
I think he was like it was Dave Anderson with young Julian Edelman, young Danny Amendola. I can't say I gave those guys any good advice whatsoever. We were all trying to make a team. That was, I think, the only thing we talked about was how tough it was to make and stay on an NFL football team. And those guys have dominated their NFL careers, and hats off to Amendola for having another great season. I'm supporting the Texans. You look like you're supporting the Atlanta Falcons with that hat, even though they had a tough Sunday.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the Falcons here. What happened?
Well, at the end of the day, something didn't go right. I'll just start with that. I didn't expect that, and I didn't expect the Philadelphia Eagles to perform the way they did. They were structured, they was detailed, they had fun, they played together, and they looked like they had a tight game plan, and Jalen Hurts was able to go out and perfect it. So I'm not surprised at the outcome in terms of, Philadelphia winning, because look, I felt like both teams, if they came to play, especially Philly with the defensive front, it could be anybody's game, but I didn't expect the margin to be that wide.
Talk to me about that margin a little bit. Like, as a receiver, sometimes you're okay with being down 14 because you know you're going to throw the ball every play and you get excited. But as a quarterback, you take away a dimension, the run game. What point do you start getting a little frustrated that 14, is it 21? Or do margins not really matter? Because
No, I mean, the margins matter because defense is going to start looking different. Yeah. And then time is not on your side. So you've probably been in games. I don't know too many. If you won or lost, whether you got down and then you had to continuously pass the football.
Mm-hmm.
And what they do, go into two deep shell, quarters, cover two, and they just keeping everything in front of them, trying to just let you catch the ball, make tackles, run. So that's when you got to really gash them. You got to get some chunk plays. And if you don't have that type of firepower, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
But, it was weird to see, the game unfold that way. And you certainly, for sure, got to have the playmakers on the field.
That's why we struggled with the Texans with the Colts. They would just get up on us and run cover two. They would just force you to play, third and 6 every 3 downs. And then they would get off the field because they knew how to rush the passer. And we always struggle with that. But the Texans, they rallied, they won the game. And now they're still 13-point dogs to the Browns. As we're looking ahead, week 2, our most intriguing matchup, Houston Texans versus Cleveland Browns. 2 teams that both, one team that unexpectedly, I would say won, but the Texans beating the Jaguars. Another team that really hung with the Chiefs all game long, had a chance to win in the Browns. The spread is opening up -13 for the Browns. The Browns are favored by not quite 2 touchdowns. And I know you remember those 7-point increments are huge, right?
Yeah.
Not quite 2 touchdowns is big.
Yeah.
What do you think of this? I mean, I'm a little lost on this game.
Okay, I'm a little lost too. I think that's a huge spread, if I'm saying that correctly, or a huge margin. 13. The Texans, they're not a bad football team.
Yeah.
And they proved that yesterday. Jacksonville is not a bad football team. They might have a rookie quarterback, but overall, you just don't spank a team put up 30, 38 points or 34, whatever they score. So, I think, it's a lot of merit to it. It's a lot of things that can happen in this game. Certainly, I know the Cleveland Browns are going to run the football effectively, but I really believe in what I said earlier, that Tyrod, he knows how to play the game of football. I just say that. And he's a veteran. And he got some pieces around him. They got some guys on that offense. They got Amendola. They got Brandon Cooks. Got some guys who can play. Is it Mike Johnson? I think it was Michael Johnson, the running back.
Yeah.
So they got some playmakers, and so I wouldn't necessarily feel comfortable agreeing with that margin, that spread, if I'm saying it correctly.
Yeah, I think Brandon Cooks is going to have to be the Tyreek and play both the Tyreek and the Travis Kelce role, in my opinion, because that Cleveland Browns front are beasts, and I don't think we really got to see what they could do. And the one thing Mahomes is so good at extending a play. You saw a couple plays, he just throws it up to Tyreek Hill, who makes a play. Can Brandon Cooks be that type of player this week for Tyrod, where Tyrod's going to have to extend a play, get out, and just throw it up there, old school playground football? Can he be that guy this week? That's my question for you.
Well, 2 things. Tyrod can certainly extend the play. He proved last week. I think he had maybe 28 to 40 yards rushing. Just glanced at the stats, but I know he had some rushing yards.
Mm-hmm.
I would be surprised if he didn't. And, for sure, if he can, just keep the chains moving, and find, Brandon Cooks and, extend plays, then, things can open up. But for the Cleveland Browns, it's a better secondary than it was last week. This is not, I think John Johnson might have left the game.
Yeah.
But they still got a secondary that's a cohesive unit, a really good unit. And it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be the same game as it was last week.
I always like that phrase, keeping the chains moving the chains. I think people think they kind of discount that comment from football players and football coaches. But what you forget about is it's really hard to just hit a defense, on the second play of the series with a touchdown. But if you can wear them down 7, 8, 9, 10 plays, then you catch a defensive lineman being lazy and it opens up a running hole, or you catch a safety overplay the over and you throw it over his head, or the corner's tired because he had to chase a backside goat 3 plays before. That's what moving the chains does. People forget about that. It's a war of attrition as you're going on, less of hey, let's score a touchdown,
The game of football is such a chess match, people would not believe.
Yeah.
It's all about, I think, coaches being quick to react to what they see and being able to counter right then and there on the spot.
Yeah, it's
for the play call.
It's a game of like, hey, we're willing to give you 3 or 4 here, you know, or even like get 0 in order to set this play up going forward. And that is often discounted, in my opinion, by gamers, by people looking at totals or spreads or things like that. You know, the spread for the Texans, talking about -13. How do you get there if you keep the chains going? But today's betting academy segment, which we always do in the gaming society, have our betting academy, teaching Mike and everybody out there, all the athletes, data and analytics through gaming. But we're going to pick a thing here as a point total, and something we've talked about and harped on a little bit last week. The point total, obviously, what are we talking about? We're talking about -51.5. We're going to use a Chargers versus Cowboys game. 51.5.
Okay.
That means both those teams added together got to score now 51.5.
51 points.
Now, before you say this, last week, I gave you Tampa Bay, Dallas. I told you the total, and you said, I think they're barely going to get the over. You're correct. They barely hit the over.
Right.
And I said that I think they're gonna. I think the Cowboys are gonna cover. Basically, you think I don't think they're gonna win by more than I think it was the spread was 8. I don't think the Tampa Bay is gonna win by that much. You got that one correct. And then my dumb ass told you otherwise, and I think you might have switched one of your bets and listened to me. I was 0 for 2. You were 2-0 is the way I look at this. So you got this week, the betting academy, Chargers versus the Cowboys, point total 51.5. We're going to keep track of this because I think that's the most important thing about the betting academy is to actually track your bets to make sure you know what you're doing, because everyone has it's like when you go to Vegas. All your boys, they remember all the times they won in Vegas. They quickly forget all the times they lost in Vegas.
Right.
Well, you can't forget. So we're going to keep track of this. So the Chargers, Cowboys, point total 51.5. This is a Chargers team coming off a nice win. You got a Cowboys team coming off a great game, but a loss. 51.5. If that's a 28-24 football game, that hits the over. So you're looking at like 4 touchdowns, 7 total touchdowns, and a field goal, something around there. I don't know. That's a good total.
No, I don't necessarily agree. I'm understanding what's going on. I'm kind of catching your drift right now.
All right.
It's gonna be hot, man. It's gonna be warm. I looked at the forecast. I was just in LA a couple weeks ago, and it's gonna be in the 90s all week. Not ideal football conditions. What time is the game?
Let's look this up for you. Hold on. That's why we
What
got
time the game start?
We got the Sunday 1:25. So afternoon game.
Yeah, that's a hot game, man. I see the score being like 24-10. Can't predict the winner, but I know that's 34
like
points.
An under. You like an under.
I like the under. I like the under.
You think a hot
30,
game
31-17, 48.
Really?
I like the under.
Really? On a hot game. So what's football? You played in Atlanta. What's football weather?
In a dome. It's 60 degrees in a dome. I used to come in the dome sometimes and think about wearing a long sleeve. The dome was cool. Like in a minute, and that's why I referenced today on Fox in terms of not shifting gears, Green Bay game. They played in Jacksonville. They practiced in modest weather all year. And then you come to a place where it's 90 degrees. Yeah. You're not hydrated. You're not feeling good, and then you playing against a team like the New Orleans Saints, and it's hot in New Orleans. We all know that. They practice in that heat.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I always thought one of the things we didn't do a good job of Houston is we would practice outside. We'd get so used to that weather, and then we would keep the roof open, but we would pump the AC in, or we would close the roof. And so it was such an accommodating place to play. Yeah. I was like, let's smoke them out here. They're not going to be ready for this.
Yeah, let's let them feel the heat.
Like you're chewing on that weather out there in Houston and Jacksonville. They're not ready for that.
Right. They coming from San Francisco. They coming from late in the year, Seattle, New York. No, I mean, wherever they coming from, that's something that you gotta
use that advantage.
You gotta forecast it. Yeah, like that's something that has to be paid attention to. Like if I'm coaching, wherever I'm coaching ever one day, whatever, I would pay attention to a lot of things that could be in our favor.
All right. So the thing I think I did a bad job of last week is I told you who the favorite was and by how much. I think the better way to do a pick is for you to guess who you think the winner is, because that way you're not too, because there's no right or wrong answer, right? No one doesn't matter at this point.
Yeah.
So Chargers versus Cowboys. Who do you think the favorite is?
I think the Chargers are fake. No, I think the Cowboys are favored.
Okay. So you're wrong. It's the Chargers -3. So you were going to go back and forth. You're doing the same thing Vegas did. Chargers are -3, but based on who you think might have been the favorite. So you might be taking the Cowboys on this pick. The spread, Chargers -3. I'm with you. I think the Cowboys beat the Chargers this week. I'm on the opposite of this though. Mike, you pick the under. I'm going to pick the over, and you like I think it sounds like we both like the Cowboys. No.
I like the Cowboys this week.
Yeah.
The bounce back.
I'm going to ride that. So, we'll see. So you're either going to be 3-1. No, you could be 4-0, but I could catch you by one game because we got the same pick there. Because I'm with you with I'm with you with the Cowboys. I think it's an interesting kind of like just a game in general. You got two young quarterbacks that are going to be dueling some big time offenses. I'm worried about Michael Gallup not being on the other side there, but I think the Cowboys have found some superstars, and they didn't even really unleash Zeke last week. He didn't really get much burn, but the Chargers too got a bunch of weapons. I don't know if you saw Mike Williams. You see Mike Williams go off?
I seen Mike Williams go off. Good to see him catch a touchdown. Yeah,
that's the guy with the dreads. Guys with receivers with dreads always throw me off. I always think it weighs you down, but they make it work.
Nah, you know what? I'm surprised a lot of those guys don't get their dreads pulled out. As aggressive as this game is,
you could do. Remember Malo used to do that to dudes?
Yeah, like that means you can easily get targeted. You can easily be a target.
It's not a flag to pull hair. You're allowed to pull it. That's a Palomalo rule. So we're moving on here. We got Dallas. We got some primetime games coming up. We got the Thursday night football game. We got our first NFC East matchup on Thursday night football. Washington football team versus New York football Giants. That current spread, Washington favored by -4.5. They lose Fitzpatrick, one of the first couple plays of the game. Still go in there and manage to get a victory. Point total is 43, but starting on the spread, who do you like in this Washington New York game?
I like New York. I don't see New York having the season that they had last year, and I think Daniel Jones is going to step up. Losing Ryan Fitzpatrick for the Washington football team, that's a detriment within itself. Taylor Heineke played well last year, but who knows how he's going to play. I think the Giants bounced back because they got destroyed by Denver last week. And I think they get a win on Thursday night.
I really don't like either of these teams. I can't tell you beyond Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley who on that Giant offense is explosive, and that's just maybe a lack of research on my part. But I haven't seen a lot of guys. The Washington football team has definitely been recruiting guys on the defensive side of the ball. They've always had a pretty darn good defense. I'm with you though. I think New York bounces back. I think it's tough for Washington to regain plan now with a different quarterback. They were able to rally that game, which I think, ironically, teams are better at doing rallying in game around a guy, around a cause, and winning. And then when they go out the next week and they're like, okay, now we got the backup. There's always some sort of lull.
No doubt. I experienced that.
You think there's some sort of lull. So I'm with you with the Giants there. The point total is unbelievably low, 43 points. I think that goes to show you that we got a non-explosive New York Giants team and a Washington football team who doesn't have really a starting quarter. They're playing with their backup. 43, you're looking at what? 3 touchdowns apiece? That's nothing. That's not even a touchdown every quarter for these teams. That's not a lot of explosive football. I don't even know if you want to make it right there, but who do you like?
Yeah, with good defense. I would say the under. I'm taking the under.
Okay.
Taking under, I don't think they get 43.
Yeah.
I don't think the combined.
You think it's a 21-10 game or something?
21-10 game. 17-13, defensive battle. It could be 30 to 10.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
In favor.
I think I don't want to always pick the same thing as you because we want to have some sort of. But
we got to be real.
I got to be real. These are a Thursday night football game. Let's throw that in there. That they're gonna have a simplified game plan. They're both the Giants are coming off a loss, but they got kind of beat up in Denver. I don't think anyone saw that.
Yeah.
Von Miller's back, by the way. Like, I don't know if you saw him rushing the passer, but he looks fresh and he looks ready to go. So they got exposed a little bit, the Giants there. I just don't think either of these teams score a lot of points. Thursday night football, I've always thought it should be some sort of under arbitrage, but I don't know that they get to that 43 either. In our other primetime matchup, Monday Night Football, the Detroit Lions versus the Green Bay Packers, another interesting mix, right? You got both these teams coming off a loss. You got Green Bay coming off a weird, not just a game where they're playing in Jacksonville in different weather, like you mentioned. Well, you tell me. I don't even know what to think of this game.
I mean, I was so confused, man. I seen Aaron Rodgers make a throw that I'd never seen him make in all his years of football. He threw a ball right into a deep safety, and it looked like he just threw it up. I got a lot of respect for Aaron Rodgers and what he's meant to the game of football. So I won't disrespect him on any platform, but that was a flat performance, and it wasn't a good performance. And whatever the spread is, I'm taking the over on points. I'm taking the spread of whatever it's going to be, because I expect this man to come back strong. That's all I know.
And that is the type of conviction that I think people are always looking for. And that, like, you know what, if there's anything I learned, it's that you don't, first of all, I don't know any people that gamble for other than entertainment value. So I'm going to be the first to say this is strictly an entertainment show, right? You got to make sure that hey, we're having fun with this because this is a great way to look and learn the game of football, look and learn about numbers. Because I think you're right. I love understanding that, like, hey, everyone has got the point total at 48.5. I think you're right. I think Green Bay's going to go score 49 points himself. I think Aaron Rodgers going to have a 5-touchdown game. I think he's going to tear it up. He's got to prove everyone wrong. He's that type of guy who, when he really wants to, clicks in and just organizes the game, it seems.
Turn it on when he wants.
You're right. It did not seem like he was completely clicked in last game. He seemed a little disconnected, and that might have been because they're in Jackson playing New Orleans. There's a lot of excuses.
Yeah. He might have just been hot, man. It was hot out there, man.
Yeah, the best thing he can do for his career and his next season is to go out and just beat the piss out of the Detroit Lions. So I think the Lions are going to feel the wrath of Aaron Rodgers. I'm with you. The spread is minus 10.5 for Green Bay. Even they got beat, and I'm on the same pick for both of these games with you. Is I think Aaron Rodgers will go out there. I look at this game being 42-28 or something like that. Green Bay, maybe they don't even get 4 touchdowns. Detroit, because I wasn't too convinced that they knew what they were doing. They're still trying to figure out who their identity is as a football team with that new coach. They're trying to he's got this tough mentality going out there, and that takes a while to kind of like establish, right? You can't just call yourself a tough team. You have to go beat up people in December.
Right.
Who cares about what's happening in September? So I think I'm with you on all 4 of these. So we'll be riding together. And last week I was against you, and I paid the price. Thank goodness I didn't actually bet. We were just doing it here. But the understanding of exactly, I think we're on the same page with Aaron Rodgers. But what's more interesting to us, and it must be, and I know you were following really closely, is I beat the piss out of the commissioner, Paul Taitliablu, in our fantasy league. I think it was 158 to 90, and I think I forgot to start someone, so I killed him. You beat Andre Reed. You had a good game.
I beat Ray.
You beat Andre Reed, so you're 1-0. I'm 1-0, and our number 1 matchup for last week was actually Ray Lewis versus Paul Pierce. And although Paul Pierce did get inducted to the Hall of Fame, Ray didn't show him any
he didn't show him no love.
Didn't show him no love. He beat Paul pretty badly in week 1 of fantasy. What I was most happy about is everyone had starters. Everyone participated. Everyone had good games. You get this going. Come week 7, week 8 of fantasy, it gets really fun because it starts getting a little competitive because the winners and the losers. start showing up. I don't know. Did you, what is your,
Nah,
shout out to fantasy advice?
Shout out to Paul for making the Hall of Fame, man. That's an accomplishment, major. Paul's a great guy. Met him on a couple of occasions, but to be able to share, that time with him was extra special. And I know this weekend was special for him. He gave a great speech, and shout out to Paul for making the Hall of Fame.
That's got to feel to be at the top of the top.
The best of the best.
Like, there's no higher you can go than the Hall of Fame of your sport. Is pretty special. Like he couldn't have done any more. Even though every athlete leaves the sport knowing that they wish they did more. The fans and then the writers and everyone recognizes that he deserves to be in the greatest, have the greatest reward of playing your sport.
Top echelon.
That is pretty special. So big shout out to Paul. We'll get him back on the show, and we'll bring him back down from that mountain and tell him about how bad he is at fantasy football. Drafting LeVar Jackson so high.
He ain't gonna want to hear that. He's not gonna want to hear that. He thought he was doing something the other day. We had to humble him.
Yeah, week 2, I got Eric Dickerson, who I got a bone to pick with because he's got the 2 best tight ends in the league, and he didn't even start one of them. So I'm gonna have to work some fantasy magic to beat Eric Dickerson. But you got one of the more intriguing matchups in the history of football always, and that still exists today. Michael Vick versus Ray Lewis.
Oh man!
Got any mental games that you're gonna share with Ray? I don't know. You guys text friends? Can you send him some pictures or something?
You know what? I never like going against Ray in anything. Anything, because he's gonna give it, like he say, 1,000%. That's his word, 1,000%. That's right. He gonna give it 1,000%, man. Whether he hit tackling you or playing you in fantasy, he gonna give it everything he got. But I'll be more than glad to knock him off.
And you know what you don't have going for you is like he's gonna especially want to beat you. You know what I mean? It's it's not like he's playing so and so. He's like, I'm gonna beat. If I didn't pay attention last week, I'm paying attention this week because I'm gonna beat.
Just so he can go and brag and tell his friends, oh, I got Mike this week. I got Mike this week. No, it ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. Even though I lost Jerry Jeudy.
Oh yeah, that's a big one.
Jeudy this week. Jerry got injured.
He broke his leg.
Yeah, I think he got a high ankle sprain. Prayers going out to Jerry Jeudy. Get back soon. Get healthy, bro. Got you on my fantasy team, and I think you one of the young and up-and-coming top receivers in the league. I don't want you to get back for me, get back for you, but shout out to Jerry Jeudy, man.
Yeah, he was having a good day. All those Alabama receivers.
He was
going up.
Yeah.
And, the young Bucks showed up. Waddle showed up. He had a good game. And those guys are showing up NFL ready, which is a lot different than
absolutely
some guys. It's impressive when those. I mean, I remember you couldn't be 5'9", 180 when I was playing. They would not have drafted a guy like that. But guy's so fast. He said Waddle had an unbelievable game to start. So I'm excited to watch all those guys. Week 2 will be a good week. Quick review: we got Mike and Dave both on the Packers covering and hitting the overs. We got Mike and Dave both on the Giants and the under for the Thursday night football. Mike is 2-0. Dave is 0-2. So I don't know if you want to listen to me, but maybe you can listen to Mike. Unfortunately, we got the same picks. We got a nice little betting academy. Helped everybody out with the point total. I think the most important thing to link about the point total is where it hits, right? You got those 51.5. Think about how the numbers add up. That's a 28-24 football game. That's how Vegas is thinking about it. That's how the public is thinking about it, because they want to get it over. It's a lot easier decision if you can get it up. 52, okay, I understand where that happens. Because what I always struggle with, even being a data guy, is like, I'm like 51.5. All right, so that's like 31-17, and you're like, nope, I'm still short. And you're like trying to figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, I think you you can't just divide it by 2 and be like, oh, it's 26 or 26.
Right. Yeah. Like no. Yeah. Because instantly that's what your mind try to do. You try to divide it. Yeah. But that just gives you a tie ball game.
Yeah. And the game comes in bunches, right? It's going to be 7, 10-0, 10-7, 14-10. Now where are we at? And so you got to kind of think about the game like that. That'll help you out. So shout out to everybody following Mike and Dave for advice. This is week 2, Gaming Society Football Edition. We'll catch you guys next week. Have a good one.
Make sure to sign up and subscribe at thegamingsociety.com and hit that follow button at The Gaming Society on all social platforms.